It was supposed to change the world. A single drop of blood. Hundreds of tests. Quick, painless, revolutionary. That's what Theranos promised, and the world believed it. Because the story was irresistible. A female founder, a college dropout, a black turtleneck and bold vision. Elizabeth Holmes was compared to Steve Jobs. She raised hundreds of millions, from billionaires, politicians, media moguls. Her board included generals and secretaries of state, not scientists, just power. And Theranos soared, a $9 billion valuation, Fortune covers, TED Talks, Walgreens deals. It looked like the future, but it was all a lie. The tech didn't work, the blood tests were unreliable, and inside the lab, it was chaos. Broken machines, faked demos, manipulated data. Employees were terrified. Speaking out meant getting sued or fired. Theranos was built on secrecy, non-disclosure agreements, tight control, and a culture of fear. Holmes projected confidence, but she knew the truth. The Edison machine core invention was a fraud, so they used third-party machines and pretended they were patients got wrong diagnoses. Some were told they had cancer, others HIV. Lives were put at risk, but the company kept growing because no one dared question the dream. Journalists praised her, investors threw cash, Walgreens signed contracts. The FDA stayed quiet until one man asked questions. John Carreyrou from the Wall Street Journal. He started digging, interviewing whistleblowers, looking at the science, and he found cracks in the story, big ones. Theranos fought back hard. Threats, lawyers, denials. But the truth was bigger. The exposure dropped, and everything unraveled. Investors pulled out, partners backed away. Regulators stepped in, and Holmes couldn't hide anymore. The media turned. The empire collapsed. Theranos was shut down. Holmes was indicted, along with her coup, Sunny Balwani. They were charged with massive fraud, facing decades in prison, because it wasn't just business failure. It was deception at scale. People's health was at stake, and Holmes didn't blink. She said she didn't know. She blamed others, but the jury didn't buy it. Holmes was found guilty. So was Balwani. Their empire gone. So how did it happen? How did one woman fool the world? It starts with charisma. Elizabeth Holmes knew how to sell a story. She lowered her voice, wore the uniform, quoted Edison, and talked about changing lives. She made people feel part of a mission, not just a business. That's powerful, especially in Silicon Valley, where vision can outweigh reality and disruption is worshipped. She used that to her advantage. She played the media, courted power, and avoided scrutiny because no one wanted to question the next jobs, especially not a young woman in tech. So the red flags were ignored. The science didn't matter, only the story did. But science has rules, laws, data, and Theranos broke all of them. In the end, it was never about medicine, it was about image. And that image crumbled, leaving behind broken trust and a cautionary tale. Theranos became a case study in fraud, in hype, in the dangers of believing too fast. Because the fall wasn't just about one company, it shattered confidence in startups, in health tech, in media. It exposed how easily we're fooled when the story is too good to check. And it showed what happens when ambition overrides ethics. Holmes went from icon to inmate, from cover star to convicted felon, from billionaire to broke, because even the best story can't outrun the truth. Theranos didn't fail because the idea was bad. It failed because it wasn't real. And in medicine, that's unforgivable. The human cost was too high. Lives were put at risk. For what? A valuation, a legacy, a lie. In the end, Theranos teaches us one thing. Integrity matters more than innovation, and no amount of hype can make false results true.